Welcome to Chillin' with Ice with me, Lori Fetrick, or most of you know me as Ice from the American Gladiators. Thank you for joining me on this podcast where we're going to dive in and go behind the scenes on the #1 hit iconic show of the 90s. It's time to get up close and personal on what drove us to be gladiators, what challenges we faced, and how we overcame to reach all of our goals. I know in this first season, inquiring minds want to know, was there drama, fights, hookups? Are we all still friends? What did we do in our personal lives, and how are we staying in such good shape years later? Well, stay right here and let's get into Chillin' with Ice. Before we dive into our incredible episode today, I want to let you know that this is a self-funded podcast and I would love your support. For the cost of a cup of coffee a month, you can donate to my Patreon page, and that would make all the difference in the world. For the small donation, you will get back so much in rewards. Like you can watch all of my podcasts on video. I will have exclusive content like behind the scenes footage, a private Facebook group where you can interact with me directly and other VIP fans, a monthly Q&A, direct shout outs and follows from me to you on your social media, and so much more. Find me on Patreon at Chillin' with Ice or click the link in the show notes now. Okay, let's dive in. My next guest graduated from Montana State University. He was a linebacker. He got drafted to the NFL. He played for the Chiefs. He played for the Rams. He was the only Gladiator that actually was in all 8 seasons. There's so much more about this gentleman, but let's just get him in here and talk about him. His name is Jim Starr, and you know him as Laser on the American Gladiators.
Hey. How you doing, Lori? How you doing, Ice baby?
What's up? All right, so
doing?
at least I got the Montana State University down.
There you go. Yeah, you don't want to confuse that with University of Montana, the Grizz, even though they're a great university. It's just they're the other side, right? So
okay, anyhow. So you did get drafted into the NFL. Tell me about that for a second.
Well, I didn't get. Here's the thing: I didn't get drafted. I did get drafted from the USFL, which is the United States Football League. They were the first year that they came out was the year that I was a senior. I was drafted by San Antonio Gunslingers, opted not to go to the USFL because I did think my agent and I thought I was going to get drafted in the NFL in the late rounds, but I had a terrible senior year. I had missed 4 games with a serious ankle injury, and our team only went 1-10. So obviously coming from a smaller school, not doing well, having an injury really hurt my chances of getting drafted. But I did go on to the Chiefs and got cut with them on the 4th preseason game because of an ankle injury. And then I went up to Canada with the Canadian Football League with Toronto Argonauts, and I played up there. And then I ended my career with the Rams with a serious injury that ended my football career, and that was the end of my career. So yeah.
And what year was that? Do you remember?
The Rams was 87.
So that's when they were in Los Angeles then.
They were in Los Angeles, yeah. And that's where I met Dan Clark, Nitro. We were both playing with the Rams. And, you know, it's unfortunate, you know, as an athlete, that's all you knew. And that's all I knew as an athlete, how to train, what to do each and every day. And when that dream's taken away from you, the world really sets in a very dark, dismal place. And it was tough times for me for about 2-3 years there, knowing your career ended. And they say, you know, play every down like it's your last down because you never know. And I never thought like that. And it was taken away from me quickly. And it was a very serious injury. It took me 3 years to heal up from that. And right when I did heal up, fortunately, I was in the right place at the right time and landed a gig on Gladiators.
Wow, you just went from, what do they call the frying, jumped into the frying pan. I mean, as far as injuries are concerned. Right. Okay, so now the last time I spoke with you, you were going for an MRI on your shoulder.
Yeah.
And do we have the results from that yet?
Yeah, I just got, gee whiz. So, you know, my history with, I've been plagued with many injuries. I lost count. I've had at least 12 shoulder operations, and now I just got the MRI results. I have a full thickness tear on my left shoulder. And so I just found out last week, and I scheduled, and I did this for the first time. I did PRP injection. It seems to help tremendously. And I've really delved in my whole background for the 25 years. I've been in product development for nutritional and dietary supplements for the health club market. I was the VP of product development for 24 Hour Fitness. Lifetime, I was the director of product development for them. So my background, and I really take interest in nutrition and supplementation, and I've always heard of peptides, but I've really have dived in the last couple of weeks and read everything I could and get my hands on everything. And there's a gentleman by the name of Jay Campbell that is just such a prolific guru when it comes to peptides. And so I've actually started some peptides for my shoulder injury. I'm doing something called BBC 157 and TB 500. And I'm telling you, Lori, with everything they're saying they do in these two particular peptides, I mean, it heals torn tendons and ligaments and muscle and bone. And I got to tell you, I'm on 4 days now, and it's almost like a miracle. Oh my gosh. I mean, when you got a full thickness tear of your rotator cuff, mine's the subscapularis, one of the major muscle in the shoulder. I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, it's almost like a miracle. I'm like, so thank you. And
when you're doing your peptides, are you injecting them directly into your shoulder?
This one I am. Right. Yeah, I'm just using an insulin syringe. And,
right.
And if you know anything about peptides, they're just branched chain amino acids. And so endogenously inside our body, we make all of these different type of branched chains. It's truly a game changer. And
I actually do take peptides.
I'm a believer.
I do. I take them. I take a peptide for your skin, and it's supposed to actually help build the collagen from within, not just the topical kind of stuff. So I've been doing that peptide now probably for the last month and a half. The only thing is, I mean, just kind of educating our audience a little bit is, I mean, it is just a little tiny insulin syringe, and peptides, you can use them for everything and anything. I mean, depending on what the situation is. I know that I'm going to probably start another peptide that actually activates your own growth hormone and stimulates that to kind of get that moving, because our growth hormone, as you know, and I don't know about anybody else, but it goes up to when you're 30 and then boom, stops and it dies. And we die. So that kind of helps. But the peptides are amazing. Yeah, they're really starting to come out.
Yeah, and to your point, right around age 30 for, even testosterone, each year over year at the age 30, they drop about 2% each year. And these peptides really, there's certain peptides. There's some for skin, hair, immunity, growth hormone. The ones you're probably mentioning, the two that are the most popular for releasing growth hormone is CJC 1295 and ipamorelin.
Right.
And those two alone synergistically work very well. And most of them are used sub-Q, or you can do intramuscular, but they're really amazing. And it's not something that's that is foreign to the body, so your body's not going to reject it. It's something that your body's used to, basically, because it's endogenous. They're branched chains, and they're found within all of our cells. So yeah, it's pretty remarkable. So
that's really cool that you actually discovered those, and actually it's starting to help heal your shoulder, or I should say, it's like, is it taking the pain away a little bit, or
in both? It's range of motion, but the pain, it's just incredible if you've ever had a torn rotator cuff, and it's literally taken most of the pain away, and I am just thrilled. I got to tell you,
I'm happy for you.
Happy as all heck. I feel like, wow, I just hit the mother
load.
Like,
so
anyhow, yeah. So
we're going to get into what you're doing right now in a minute, because I know that you have a whole thing on that. But let's back up a little bit. And you met Nitro when you were in the NFL, and I also know that you lived with him for a while. So how was it living with Nitro?
I was living with Nitro. There was never a dull moment.
I bet.
It was, we were young and dumb, and geez, we were 20. I think I was 27 when I met Dan, 26, 27. And boy, did we have some fun. We both got done playing. I made enough money off my injury to basically take care of all of us and live in an apartment and going out
You
every
guys were
Wednesday.
partying and chasing
Um,
tail, and I bet you guys were just like,
yeah, we had a pretty good darn time, and no regrets there. It was I was a country boy from Montana, moving to the big city in California, and it was just it was pretty darn special. Some really good memories with Dan.
now he actually auditioned for the show first. Am I correct? Or did you
He did.
guys, how
Yeah.
did he tell you about it, or did it kind of come
Well,
about?
and you can talk to Dan and get his version. My
Wait,
version's a little,
Dan
and
always has a different version than everyone.
that's right. My memory recall is much different than Dan's, and here's how I remember it.
Okay, here we go.
And he may dispute this, but we'll go with this one. We were still living together. We were still roommates, and we were both doing commercial work, going out on commercial auditions, and we both had the same agent. My understanding, and what I recall it is, the agent had called Dan to tell him about this new American Gladiators tryout. The agent was supposed to tell, the agent did tell Dan to tell me because we both had the same agent. I remember it as Dan never told me about the tryout. And so Dan goes to the tryout and he gets casted for the American Gladiators. And I was very upset because I asked Dan, I said, "Hey, I heard you went out for some tryout for this Gladiator show." And lo and behold, it was fortunate and unfortunate. They casted everyone for the first half season, and that was Malibu. And then Malibu, who in my mind, just in my opinion, is they got rid of Malibu because and I'll keep my mouth shut.
No,
I don't
go
want to.
ahead. Why did they get rid of Malibu?
My understanding was he wasn't very physically tough. He wasn't a tough guy, and great athlete, but he just wasn't mentally and physically tough. And
Right.
so they stopped the production. They did 13 episodes, and then in January they had another tryout. Now, let me back up there because before I tried out, I had actually gone through the year testing to be an LAPD officer, and I was selected for the January 1990 Academy to be on the police force, and I was ready to go through the academy. And that same week, my agent called and said, "Hey, they want to have you try out for the Gladiators," and I did, and I got casted as one of the Gladiators. And I had to make a decision: do I want to do LAPD or do I want to be an athlete?
Wow.
And it took me about 4 seconds to come
Yeah,
up with that decision.
exactly.
I said, "Nah, I think I want to be an athlete." And it had nothing to do about being on TV. It was all about showing my athletic ability because, obviously I got cut in the NFL because my injury took me 3 years to heal up from that, from 87 to 1990. So it was just a blessing in disguise that I was in the right place at the right time, and obviously was on the show for the next 7 years.
Isn't it amazing how in life, like, boom, a split second, it's like the sliding doors.
Yeah.
It's like you choose this, you choose. Can you imagine if you would have chosen actually to go with the LAPD, how your whole life, your entire life would have been completely different.
Everything would have been different.
And it just, like you said, 4 seconds, that split decision.
Yeah. You've hit the nail on the head there, Lori. Let me share with you and the audience something that exactly that. When I was a senior in my senior year in college, obviously I missed those 4 games because of an ankle injury. And I went in on the 4th quarter of the 4th game that I had missed. And everyone kept saying, "Jim," even the coaches said, "Jim, just do not go in because you can gray shirt. If you miss 4 games in the beginning of a season, you can gray shirt and you'll have another year of eligibility and you can play another year." And hindsight's 2020, right?
Yeah.
And all I cared about was playing.
Yeah.
Now listen to this story. So I go in, I ruin my gray shirt season. We go 1-10, terrible season, don't get drafted. The next year at Montana State University in 1984, those guys all went to the national championship and won the Big Sky Conference League, and they won the national championship. And all my roommates were juniors. Mm-hmm. They all got the big rings and all got inducted in the Hall of Fame. And it's just that moment split decision of two different pathways in life that your life could go. And I look at that and say, gosh, just think, if I would not have gone in that fourth quarter, I would have been on that national championship team. But then again, would I've ever been on the Gladiators? No.
Who knows?
Would I've ever met my wife today? No.
See?
So
everything.
All these different, and the kids that I had, and all these things. So you just never know what is going to transpire through those different decisions, right? And different hapstance circumstances, right?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I believe in that. I mean, there's a movie out and it's actually called Sliding Doors. And it's I love that because it's like, boom, all of a sudden something happens. It's just like so crazy, you know?
For sure.
But that's so cool. I mean, it's so funny too. I believe your story as far as him not telling you anything.
Well, and Dan says he doesn't recall that at all. But
yeah, right.
And we kind of went downhill after that. There was that content. I don't know what happened. We became bad roommates, and then I ended up moving out, and that was it. So, but we're still good friends.
I was just going to say, but you were on the show together, you traveled together. Yeah. I mean, everything like that. So
yeah, good teammates, and so it was good.
So let's get into the Gladiators just for a moment here. And then I want to talk to you about what's out there right now that you're doing.
Yeah.
So,
sure.
All right. So when you were actually on the Gladiators, when you go back and watch yourself, what is it that do you ever go back and watch yourself on the show just once in a while? Like, okay.
Of course.
Tell me when you watch yourself, what are you thinking? What do you see?
Well, time flies by so quickly, especially as you get older. I'm 61 years old now. And I was 28 when I landed the show, 35 when it finally ended, right? So I was on there for 7 years. And, every once in a while you pull up YouTube or whatever and watch a few shows. And the one thing that gets to me is like, first of all, I didn't realize I was that big and ripped. I'm only 195 pounds then when I did the show.
You were big.
235. And then the last year I was probably the best shape of the 7 seasons was my last year. I was about 222, shredded, 5% body fat. But, I look at how competitive I was. Like, I wanted to rip your head off. And
my God, yes.
And I had that, when the whistle blew, and I was like that in football. Mm-hmm. When I went out, it was almost, I would watch game film, and I could not even watching the game film, I'd be like, I did that? That was me? I was such in a zone.
Yeah.
That I almost blank out where you black out.
That's your competitive nature, though.
Yeah. And I couldn't recall what I did or how I did that. And I, when I watch the show today, I watch that and think, dang, I did all that.
Well, what's funny about you too. Yes, you're going out and ripping people's heads off, but yet the minute it stopped, you'd come back in, you're all smiling and high-fiving. It was just like a whole nother person. You know?
Shake the contenders' hands and
make sure
absolutely. They're okay. And
after you rip their head off.
After I rip their head off, are you okay? But it's just who I was. I don't know where that came from. I think you're born with a part of who you are, right? Mm-hmm. And I think my dad was one hell of an athlete. He went to Washington State, was a great boxer and football guy, and he had a temper, and I just growing up in Montana, being around tough guys and working hard and trying to prove yourself all the time. I just think it was part of where I grew up.
It's just who you are.
Yeah.
It's who you are. Now, was there any drama backstage with the guys? Because there was with girls, just to let you know. I mean, we had our competitive moments.
Yeah, I bet
mean,
you did. All the guys, we were really good teammates. We were still competing to be the best of the best.
Yeah.
And you're still competing with your fellow teammates. But I cannot ever recall, even on the show or during the 6-month Gladiator tour that we did, we ever had a disagreement.
Bullshit. I'm going to call bullshit on you.
No,
you guys have disagreements because you were always like, it's a fucking Nitro show. God damn it. Even Steve said that.
Maybe that. It was, we did disagree a lot on, maybe not in front of the Gladiators.
Right, yeah.
We certainly bitched about Nitro. We certainly did about that because it was the Nitro show.
See?
Right?
Exactly. But I mean, we laugh about it. He laughs about it. I mean, it's all in good fun. But it's like when we were on the show and for some reason he was always out in front, kind of like, and he made himself out in front.
Oh yeah, he did.
And, but with the girls, I mean, we all had that A-type personality and we were all we were competitive basically in the, outside of the show. Outside of the show, meaning like personal appearances, or I'd see Ray on like auditions and she would come sit behind me or side me and try to psych me out. And after I realized she was playing mental games with me, I was like, I can't talk to you right now. You know?
Yeah. Well, you can recall this, Lori. I mean, when we were doing the show, Samuel Golden never helped promote us. They never really got us any additional autograph signing, what do you call them? Autograph signing,
the personal appearances,
things like that. Right. We did it ourselves. We either busted our fanny trying to get our own jobs out there with different companies, and we would. I mean, a lot of us were upset with other gladiators, or we would feel like, why did they get to do that and we didn't?
Right.
Or why were they in that photo shoot and we were left out? And there was a lot of competition, I think, amongst guys and gals. I mean, because you'd see one gladiator, let's say it was you, Ice, and maybe it was Nitro, and you two were doing a cover of a magazine, but then myself and Tower and maybe Zap were left out, and you'd be your feelings would be hurt, and you'd get pissed.
Okay, well, speaking of which, why didn't you go to the international show?
I don't know. I do not.
There you have it. There's one right there.
I'm really upset. I have no idea, being on the show for 7 years, longer than any other gladiator, did more episodes. I don't know, Lori. They never asked me to go over there, and that was 2 years, I think they did that.
Yeah, we went 2 years in a row.
Yeah, never asked me.
See, that blows my mind. I mean, that's where I believe that some of the bullshit politics was behind the scenes. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, how did they choose certain gladiators to do certain things? I mean, if it was based on popularity, there's no doubt you would have been right there. I mean, that's why I'm just like, it wasn't because you weren't popular. I mean, were they afraid that you'd rip the heads off of the international guys?
I don't know. That's what's... and you really didn't have a voice, right?
We had no voice.
You didn't know who to get on a call with to just say, hey, can you just explain this to me? It was before social media, really, Lori. We didn't have really cell phones. You had pagers. You just couldn't.
We were archaic.
It was pretty archaic. And so you just kind of lived in your world, and that was it, Yeah,
you're right. And when we did go ask questions, they were extremely political about it, meaning they were like giving you the answer of, well, this is just what I was told to do.
Yeah.
They never had the real answer,
That's right.
And that was kind of sad too, because you're right. We didn't. And then remember, Brian came in and he was like, I'm going to be the voice for the Gladiators. And we were like, yeah, sure you are.
Yeah, sure you are. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of sad. We didn't have any kind of voice like that when it came to, what's going on. I mean, as you know, I've been doing some podcasts, a lot of podcasts with different ones. And there's a lot of stories that I was kind of shocked about hearing. And, I was just like, wow. And I'll share those later, but obviously I want to wait until they come out. But yeah, there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes, not just with me, but with other gladiators. Like, for instance, okay, let's go with when we actually did hold out. I know that you were upset because you were like, I wasn't invited to hold out for more money for the merchandising.
Right.
Do you actually think in your mind and in your heart of hearts that if all the gladiators would have stuck together and held out for more money, or I should say even just a little bit of money of the merchandising, we would have gotten it?
Yeah, I truly do, Lori. And heart of hearts, I mean, I felt this since the day it's happened, and I still believe that today. And little did we know, it's not like we're some experts in negotiations, right? We're all 30 years old, 25 years old, and I truly believe that. I think if yourself, I think there was Gemini, Nitro, Zap, and I don't recall who else. Maybe there was four of you, but if you would have had a few of us other ones involved, to say, listen, I truly believe that they wouldn't have been able to pull off trying to find alternate gladiators to fill those positions. I truly believe that if we would have held together collectively, we could have fared out much better, because as we all know, we didn't have merchandising rights.
Well, I was just going to say,
I was on American Gladiator vitamin line. They never asked me to be on it. They put my picture all over it. We were on costumes, bubble gum. We were on
lunch pails. They had Nintendo.
Nothing. We didn't get. We got zero.
Zero merchant. So for the audience, what we're talking about is there was a few gladiators that held out for merchandising rights. We just wanted a small piece of it. And like Jim's saying, is unfortunately there was only like what, maybe four of us at the very end of the day.
I think you, Nitro, Gemini, and Zap, right?
Okay, so here's the deal, to be honest with you, and I'm not quite sure why or what happened, but of course, now back to Nitro. Nitro and Gemini actually were the ones that put it together. And I told them, I said, we need the entire team. And they were like, no, I think we can we're going to be good with like the top 5. And I could have swore that everybody should have been involved. But you're right. If the entire team would have stuck together and just said, hey, this is what we want, they couldn't have replaced the entire team that year.
No.
There's no way.
And, and when you did it, it was right. It was couple, I think, and you recall better than I do, it was just weeks before, even a week before we started to film. So, there's a lot at stake. They have to line up the crew and the production crew and the studio. Yeah. I think if we would have held out with all of us, and we weren't demanding much. We just wanted a little something.
Yeah, just give us a little tiny piece. Yeah, they were like, kind of, fuck you, get away. Yeah, they fired us.
And, if this show would have happened today, those kind of contracts don't exist. You would get some sort of merchandising rights, some royalty, at least, that is set up with merchandising and things like that. But it is what it is. So I know we can't change the past.
Nope.
Even though we can complain about it, it is what it is, right?
So tell me this, did you have a most embarrassing moment when you were either on the tour or on the show?
Well, let me tell you, sort of embarrassing.
Okay.
So Steve and I, we went over to Tokyo and we did the 2 gladiators from the US went over to Tokyo because they had their own version of gladiators, not American gladiators, but gladiators.
Right.
So Steve and I go over to Japan, over in Tokyo, and the sushi's not very good there, just so you know.
Wow, so that's surprising.
Very surprising. So we're over there for 5 days, filming every day. The first day we get up, there's not much for us to eat. So Steve and I order breakfast, lunch, and dinner in the morning when we go have breakfast. And so that we have them cook us the Wagyu, and we both have 30 Wagyus apiece, and they're cooking these Wagyu steaks up. Well, we don't know anything about yen versus dollars, right? We don't know how to convert yen.
Right.
So think of it. We were there for 5 days. We were eating 60 steaks at a time. 60 times 5 is 300 steaks.
Wow.
Do you know what that bill came to?
I don't even want to know.
And we had no idea. Well, we get back to the States. Guess who calls us? Brian. Brian says, listen, you took advantage of the Japanese production company. You owe I think it was like $20,000.
Oh my God, no way.
Yeah. And, each one of those steaks is like, in the US, is like $150 a piece.
Oh my God.
So they thought we were taking advantage of. So what they did, the Gladiators here in the US, they fired, I don't even know if you guys know this. They fired Steve and I from the show not to go out on any appearances. We were banned from the show for 6 months. And it wasn't embarrassing, but it was definitely one of those
eye-opening
moments, right? Yeah.
Wow. So, no, I knew that. I never knew that.
Yeah, we kind of kept it secret because we were embarrassed, but we didn't do it on purpose.
No, you had no idea. You had no idea.
So, yeah.
Unbelievable. So tell me about the coolest celebrity / athlete that you met while we're in the height of Gladiators.
Yeah, probably one that comes to mind is Kevin Costner. Kevin Costner, he actually showed up to our studio watching us, I think, at least 3 or 4 times. He was filming something, and I think we were at MGM back then, Mary Tyler Moore Studios, and he was filming something in another studio, but he would come by, and I just remember shaking his hand and talking to him. Great guy. And this was in the beginning of his career. This was like 1991, 92. So right. That was pretty cool.
That is very cool.
And am I not mistaken? You actually was at his wedding?
Remember I told you that and you're like, no way.
Yeah. Is that true?
Yes, that's very true. As a matter of fact, it's when I owned my tanning salon, and his girlfriend at the time was coming into the tanning salon, and super cool. We started playing racquetball together, and she'd talk about my boyfriend. And finally one day I just went, who the fuck is your boyfriend? And she goes, oh, Kevin Costner. Like, it's no big deal. Oh, Kevin Costner. I was like, what? And so used to go up to the house a little bit, hang out, became friends. She invited me to their wedding in Aspen. It was a 3-day wedding. Wow. I mean, It was like, they had Bon Jovi was there. There was a list of celebrities, but obviously, I didn't hang out with them.
Cool.
But
that's cool.
It was very cool. And Kevin is just the coolest guy. I mean, he is just so laid back, just so down to earth. His wife, Christine, I mean, she's awesome. And, we've lost contact over the years, of course. But yeah, super cool family.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
Cool. Yeah.
So tell me the next place, what's the coolest place you got to go?
Coolest place? I mean, during the Gladiator show?
Yeah.
Coolest place? Well, we did a helicopter. We did a personal appearance. I don't know if you were on this one. We went to Niagara Falls, and we did a personal appearance there. And I know Zap was there, and they put us in a helicopter, and we got to fly right over Niagara Falls. We hovered over Niagara Falls. That was pretty death-defying. I was actually frightened that we were going to crash.
Really? No, I wasn't there. That sounds amazing, though.
Yeah, that was a cool. We had a ton of people that were there. We were right there at Niagara Falls, and they took us up in the helicopter. It was pretty. That was a cool day. I still remember that. That was pretty neat.
I can't imagine you being kind of fearful in a helicopter. Yeah. Everything you've done and who you are.
A little fearful. Yeah, I've done a couple of nutty things, but I was actually a little fearful. Yeah.
What? I love helicopters. I love them. Every time I go into Hawaii, Maui, I want to take a helicopter. And the last time I was there, I went with my girlfriend. I talked her into going on the helicopter. She took a Dramamine because she was so freaked out about it. And the whole day was wasted because she couldn't function off the Dramamine. But anyway, so now if you were to pick television show, tour, the live show, give me some of the the love-hate kind of things. Let's start with a television show. Is there like a love-hate, like one thing that you would pick out from the television show?
Yeah, I think, well, geez, the hate would be, doing two, and sometimes, Lori, there were 3 shows back to back. They always did 2 shows a day. The filming was different each year. We'd go 3 days on, 1 day off, 4 days on, 2 days off, and we would do 26 to 29 episodes in the 3-week season. It just really tore you up as a gladiator, because if you got hurt or injured the first day of filming, you knew that you weren't going to get paid for. They didn't pay you for a contract. They paid you per seat, how many shows you were on.
Mm-hmm.
And if you got injured, you're injured. And you had to step up, where the contenders, if they advanced on, they wouldn't compete again for another 3 or 4 days down the road.
Did you ever get
deal.
injured to where you had to keep competing? And what'd you do to actually, because I got injured with my shoulder, and I tell the story of, I had to take Vicodin, and there was like times that I'd go out and I was swinging on the rings higher than a kite, because my shoulder was absolutely killing me, and it was nerve damage.
Yeah.
But
it's just unfortunate that we as athletes, what we put our bodies through, and I still remember all of us being on Vicodin, and there was another drug that was very popular at the time, which was a nasal spray, which is Stadol. Stadol, very highly addictive.
That Nubane, I heard.
Yeah, and it's just, the things that we did just to get through it as an athlete, because you knew you waited all year to do this. You had 3 weeks to film. You trained all year. You look good. You're in shape. And you're going to feed yourself and your family on what you're doing for 3 weeks. And do or die, you're going to do it, man. There were so many seasons every year I'd get hurt, or other gladiators get hurt, and you're still out there competing just because you had to. Plus, it's in you. That's just the animal part of who we are as athletes. No one's going to put you down unless you're so injured you can't get out there, right? There's a big difference between pain and injury. You can play with pain. Injury is a different subject.
So tell me what you loved about it.
I love the competition, and I love the camaraderie with your teammates. I love the competition to prove that you're damn good at what you did. I didn't really care, Lori, truthfully. I didn't care whether I was on TV. The other things, signing autographs outside of doing the show, great, really cool. Yeah. But it's really about competing.
I hear you.
Because when you're an athlete and you're competing at the highest level and you can showcase your skill set, man, that's a great feeling.
You told me one time about the Orlando Live, what you did not like about it. Do you remember what you told me?
No, remind me.
You told me the one thing you didn't like about the Orlando show.
I do.
Okay.
I do. Yeah, the Orlando Live show, which was, it was popular, pretty cool show. Mm-hmm. But you're competing against the same athletes night after night, night after night. And let me tell you, if I get to know, and as you know, Lori, on our television show, we never fraternized, and nor did they want us to fraternize with the contenders, because
unless you were sleeping with them.
This is me only. I can't speak for anybody else, but if I get to know you and you become my buddy and my friend, I'm telling you, I don't want to rip your head off. It's just something innately humanistic part of who we are, that I'm just not going to be that rough and tumble guy if I get to know you and I think, hey, you're a cool dude.
Yeah.
So that was very difficult to go up against the same individuals night after night, night after night. And it's like, oh my God, really?
Yeah.
And it was boring.
Yeah.
And I did the show for a while, and another injury. All I do is get injured. I was out with Tank one night. We were all partying, and I had cowboy boots on, and he was in a parking lot. He was on the first floor. I drove in my car and got out, and I saw him down on the first level, and he goes, just jump over the parking lot. So I jumped over from the second story to the first story, and my boot hit the side of the curb, and my ankle, it exploded. And that was the end of my career. I went home to California from Florida, because that's where we filmed it, Kissimmee, Florida. And that was the end of my career. I never returned. I was done.
We were done with the show anyway after that.
I was so damn over. I was over it.
The live show was like the last hoorah, you know? That was it. And they're like trying to drain everything out of there, you know? Yeah. Tell me your thoughts about the tour. How much fun did you have? And
oh my God, we were like rock stars, man. That was gosh, I wish we could do it again. That was just such a cool vibe. And
what would you do over? What would you would you do anything differently if you had to do it all over again?
No.
Yeah.
Everything was perfect. It was just the audience at different city every night. We went to Madison Square Garden. We were in the Superdome. We were in, oh my gosh, it was, we felt like we were rock stars. All the guys and the girl gladiators, and I think our manager we were all on the same tour bus. We were packing in 12 to 15,000 fans. We were just, man, what a wow.
Yeah, what a rush.
Great stories, man. And stories that we do not want to dive into nor tell, because might get ourselves in trouble.
You know, it's really sad about that too, because it's like there are so many stories on that tour. And you're right. I would say 85% of us will take it to the grave, you know? And
and good thing, Lori, it was before cell phones and video cameras.
Oh, dude, can you imagine?
If we had that back then, I think we would all be, in jail, arrested, or have 15 different kids around the country. I don't know.
100%. 100%.
It was the things that we even did, like just the guys and the girls on the bus partying after each show, and it was just crazy, right?
Yeah. It was. I think I saw your ass one too many times, Jim.
It was fun. It was a little stripping along the way.
What happens with you guys? I tell that story, I'm like laughing. I'm like, the minute the Gladiator guys get alcohol in their system, they start doing the strip tease.
I know. Well, the one person I remember distinctly was Diamond.
Yeah.
You know, she's pretty heavy chested, and it was just that was fun.
It was fun. We had a blast. That was an amazing.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing about this podcast. It's like we get to tell the stories that, I know the documentary's coming out, but there's no way they're going to be able to capture the stories that we actually have about the tour, about the live show, you know, everything like that. It's just unbelievable. We had so many things to do. Yeah. So, do you have any, would you do anything differently at all in your life if you knew how this was all going to end?
Boy, that's a great question, Lori.
I had to get one of those into you.
I do regret, as an athlete, that's what you do, right? But the amount of injuries that I sustained over those years, and I still am going through it, it's been really difficult. Even though I still go to the gym every day, I still watch what I eat. I'm in the nutrition space, so it's important for me to feel good, look good, live a healthy lifestyle. But I feel like an old man. There's it's tough stuff. My back, my shoulders, a lot of things that, I wake up and people look at you and they think, you're a healthy guy, but they don't see when you close the door and you're by yourself and you're with your wife, and that's all she hears is you bitching and complaining how hurt you are and you can't move, and it takes you 20 minutes to just kind of straighten up your back when you get up in the morning. So, it's
no, I hear you on that one.
I have to it's a tough deal, but
I have to reach over.
I regret. I just wish I didn't have all those injuries. I'm pretty beat up right now. So
Yeah, when I get out of bed in the morning, I literally have to reach over, pull myself over, roll over.
Yeah,
And I hear you. It's the injuries, and that's really what it comes down to is, I mean, we put our bodies through so much,
yeah,
and it was like, hitting and tackling, and I mean, it's just unbelievable stuff that you're right. Today, we're all dealing with it,
yeah. All
and
of us are. Yeah,
but then again, it's kind of like, would you redo it? Would you do it differently? Nah,
yeah.
you wouldn't. You're still going to be the animal out there that's just insane, ripping people's heads off.
Love it.
So tell
Yeah,
me what happened after Gladiators was over. I mean,
yeah.
when it ended, did you kind of go through like a weird period of adjustment, identity? I mean, think about it. You were laser for 8 to 9 years solid. And that's how
Yeah.
people looked at you. And that's how, they addressed you, I'm sure, just like they do me. I was like, ice, no, it's laser. So, I mean, did
Yeah.
you go through kind of an adjustment into everyday normal life?
Yeah. Good question again. Yeah, I think in life, everybody goes through adjustments, right? You have a career and all of a sudden it ends. You get fired, they let go, they have cutbacks in companies, and you have to start a new path in life, right? And that's what's unique about some individuals. They have that entrepreneurial spirit and that go forward attitude. And absolutely, I went through that period of who am I? What am I doing? I went through it with football, ended my career, and I'm like, what am I going to do now? Right? Trying to change that pathway. And then the Gladiators end, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, now what? I'm out of a job. I mean, even though I had a college degree, it's like, really? That's what I want to do now after, I was 35 years old, never held a corporate job. So yeah, it was very frightening. So to answer your question, what I did is, during the Gladiators, I was a personal trainer in the off season, did fairly well, did all that. I was a spokesperson for a couple companies, Metrics, another multi-level marketing company called Aola. Did really well in there and had a lot of background in writing articles for nutrition and dietary supplements. And lo and behold, as I was a fitness trainer, I trained most of my clients out of my house. A client of mine said, "Hey, I know this guy named Neil Spruce, and I overheard him talking about his company, and he was looking for someone else to hire running a subdivision called Ergogen Labs. You should call him." I said, "Well, I know Neil. I don't know him personally, but I know who he is." And so Neil was running nutrition analysis at Gold's Gym, and then he left and he started a company called Apex Fitness. So I said, "Well, give me his phone number. Maybe I'll call him." So at the time, I held on to that phone number for a month, and it just ate at me every day. Like, should I call him? Should I call him? And I finally had the nerve. I just said I was kind of getting tired of training.
Mm-hmm.
And relying on people to show up to pay my bills, right? And it was very tough. And so I called him in the evening on a Sunday, told him who I was. He knew who I was. He said, "Hey, will you fax me fax? Will you fax over your resume?" I faxed over my
You're
resume.
like,
He called
what
me back.
resume?
Yeah. He called me back later that night and says, "You're hired." I said, "What?" He goes,
Wow.
"Come in Monday morning, me and our CFO, sign the paperwork. I'll tell you exactly what you're going to do. You're perfect for the job." So I went in Monday, signed a contract, my first corporately job, 8-hour day. I've never worked an 8-hour day except for construction when I was younger. And what I did is I started running this company called a subdivision called Ergogen Labs. Now, Apex Fitness became the private label brand, nutrition private label brand for 24-hour fitness because they bought Apex. So I went from running Ergogen Labs, turned that company over to a multi-million-dollar company by doing a one-man roadshow, going out and talking to all the trainers at 24-hour about the products, doing educational seminars. We went from 0 to about 3 million the first year by just doing what I did, and became pretty successful within the company. And I ended up just moving up the company ladder and became the VP of product development for Apex and 24-hour fitness for 11 years. And then Apex dissolved, and Neil opened another company called Dot Fit and was with them for a few years, and then started my own company, Sports Nutrition Consulting Group. went and did that, and developing products for companies. And then Lifetime Fitness hired me. Went with them for a few years, and then just 2 years ago, I was kind of semi-retired. And a very good buddy of mine, who's a master trainer in California, Mike Pincus, he and I were very good friends and always went mountain biking. We always reminisced about working together at some point, doing something. You know how guys think and you daydream. And
Oh yeah.
so he had called me about a year and a half ago. He says, listen, I'm under NDA. I can't really discuss what I'm doing, but I want to bring you on board. I don't know in what capacity or what you're going to do, but I know I'm going to bring you on board. So lo and behold, shortly after that, he was able to tell me what he was doing. And I was just blown away, because everyone that's in that field of nutrition and supplementation and food have all visioned by taking a scan of your food with your own phone and having it come back in seconds, telling you exactly what's on your plate in terms of calories, protein, every nutrition.
So all the macros, everything. I mean, that is a game changer, because
that's a game changer.
Remember, I mean, I know that when I was personal training people and it came down to the nutrition, it was like, okay, you're supposed to eat this, this, and this. Well, how much am I supposed to eat? Well, it's the rule of thumb. Just if it can fit in the palm of your hand, then that's the portion size. Right. So, I mean, we never knew as far as portions. We didn't know what the macros, we were all guessing.
Yeah. Well, the 24-hour recall all these dietitians have people do, you do that for a week or two, and it dissolves within a matter of days, if not hours, right after doing it. So
now this company launched, and what's the name of this app?
So this is really exciting. So I've been with the company a year and a half. The name of the company is Opsis Health, but our application is called Plateful, Plateful. And Plateful's, we've been in stealth mode for about 4.5 years. What's interesting about this story is the founder his name's Kevin Grundy. Kevin is a hardware designer, and he was Steve Jobs' lead hardware designer for Next Computer for about 8 years in the late 80s. And he's an electrical engineer by trade. His daughter had Crohn's disease, and he knew that his daughter's symptoms were coming from food. So what he did, he stripped every nutrient out of her body and slowly introduced them, and realized that, yes, all her symptoms were cause of food causation. So he thought to himself, listen, if Google Maps can get you 10 feet within your destination, why can't we use our own cell phone, scan a plate of food, have it segmented, give you the volume, which no one has ever been able to figure out until now. And that's exactly what Kevin did. So 4.5 years later, 43 patents. He's had 5 major breakthroughs, 5 tech teams, some of the best data, AI, machine learning people in the entire world working on our team. We got 6 RDs. We got 11 PhDs on staff, 3 MDs. We got 30 people outside of our company worldwide working on this. I'm happy to announce that we just launched, and there's 2 phases to our application. It's Plateful 1.0 and Plateful 2.0. Plateful 1.0 just went in the app stores today under Google Play and the App Store. And what it is you can take your cell phone and you can scan any barcode in your pantry, at the grocery store, convenience store, and on the barcode, and this is instantaneously, it'll happen. It'll give you a score between 0 and 100, 100 being the healthiest, on an NV score. It's a nutrition value score. And all of this is based on deep science through Tufts University. It's
that's
called
amazing.
the Food Compass score. And it'll give you an EV score, which is an eco value score, which is based on land degradation, water consumption, and CO2 emissions, climate. And people that care about our climate, because food is 30% of production waste. So people that care about food and processing and plantation and all of that are going to care about those 2 numbers. But it's such a cool thing to be able to scan any food and know how healthy your food is from 0 to 100. And you want those foods at least above a 50. And you will find that when you're scanning your foods, you're going to be surprised how detailed and probably underscored the foods that you've been eating are under a 50.
Oh,
It's
I'm
frightening
sure.
to know
I'm
what's in our
sure.
food today because the calories dead. We all know that.
Yeah.
But you can download it. You can go to plateful.org /download. And you can go right there and people can download the Plateful 1.0 and start scanning all their foods and go from there. It's a game changer. And Plateful 2.0 will come out in June. And that's where you're going to take your phone and scan over a plate of food. And that'll give you all the 224 nutrition markers in a matter of seconds. And we give you turn-by-turn directions with rings. And there's 5 rings. There's fruits, vegetables, whole grains, calcium, and healthy proteins. And if you close those rings, you've met your variety needs, which is a diet quality value score for the day. You're off to the races.
That's insane.
You now health span and lifespan. You've just increased your health span by about 11 years. And this is all based on published research. So check it out. It's pretty cool.
Jim, that's so exciting. I'm so happy for you. I mean,
Yeah,
it sounds like
I'm happy that we as a company are able to figure this out for the entire world because we know calories are dead, right? Everybody goes off calories. But if you look since the 1970s, and it's a trend that keeps going up and up, we as a nation keep getting fatter and fatter year over year, but we've had more memberships pulled out of health clubs. We've had more wearables. We've had every diet in the world. If they were all working, how come we're getting fatter as a nation? And in 2030,
that's a
2050.
That's a whole nother podcast because the
Oh
fact
my God.
that, I mean, think about the nutritional industry, the fitness industry, gazillion-dollar business industry.
Yeah.
Every year there seems to be a new diet, a new,
all the time because they don't work, Lori.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't work. And, when you look at a label on a food label doesn't give you everything that's in that food, right? It doesn't give you all the nutrients that are good or bad. So, we finally now have cracked the code on being able to display and correctly give information to the end user. And what's great about this application, it's free to the end user forever. They'll never have to pay for a premium version. We'll never sell your data. It's free to the end user. Where we monetize it is we have a dashboard that dietitians, nutritionists, coaches, accountable care organizations can then download through you, giving them a code, and they can look at your manifest and your dashboard and be able to really help you with maybe you have calcium deficiency and bone loss or hypertensive and you have high sodium, but you don't know what to do.
Right.
So have this dashboard that they would pay $10 per user per month to be able to look at their dashboard, look at their trends, look at their rings, their diet quality value, and be able to assess each individual on an individual basis. So it's pretty darn cool.
That's amazing. I mean, Jim, you look fucking amazing right now. Anyway, you, like I said this before, you are aging like a fine wine. You're getting better with age.
I got eyelids pulling over my eyes. I don't know. I'm getting pretty dang old.
Oh, just go have those surgically removed. Come on.
Surgery will do anything.
But I mean, it's like between your training, your nutrition, obviously, and just, I know from eating right and doing everything, I mean, obviously it's like, that's your anti-aging right there. I mean, you're looking fabulous. And so.
Thanks, Lori. As anyone listening to this podcast, Lori, food is everything. 80% of all of our morbidities, comorbidities, all caused by bad nutrition. We all know this. You will be amazed when you find out what's in your food and you think food's healthy. Let me tell you, it's so bad. It's sort of scary that the FDA allows some of these different processes, these different additives. ultra processed foods that we eat, packaged form, worst stuff you can have. If you can go on a so Opsis Health, we're a data and a behavioral company, right? That's all we are. We're not a diet app. We're not selling you a diet. What you'll realize when you close those 5 rings that I mentioned, the fruits, vegetables, whole grains, calcium, and protein, and you're eating high quality, nutrient dense foods. And I'll give you an example. Our COO, 71 years old, he was 185 2 months ago without even trying, because he's been scanning all his food, closing his rings. He's down to 162. He looks fabulous.
Yeah.
I mean, and he didn't try to lose weight. That's what happens when you get nutrient dense food that has high fiber.
Yeah.
You're naturally going to lose weight, and you're not even trying to lose weight.
Our food process it's absolutely terrible. It sucks. I've always known that. Even when I was in bodybuilding and dieting, they were like, don't eat anything out of a can, nothing that's frozen or packaged. If anything, you want it as natural as you could possibly be. So,
and listen, Lori, we all know we are humans, right? So we know that we're going to have our chips, we're going to have Pringles, we're going to have ice cream. Hey, it's fine.
Moderation.
It's just resetting. It's, hey, have your chip. If you want those chips, great, but still eat the variety of foods to fill those rings, fill your diet quality value, because diet quality value on variety of foods, that's where it comes through. And gosh, I wish we would have had this when we were all doing the Gladiators. And I tell my company that, you know, the way we used to eat, and we probably still kind of have that mindset of it's all protein. We can't have fruits. We can't have too many vegetables. Oh boy, we can't have anything that
it's all changed. Calcium. I know.
You see what I mean? So it's the wrong setting. And I even talked to Steve Henneberry last week, Tower. I said, are you getting many fruits? He goes, no, fruit. Boy, you don't want fruits. I said, why, Steve? What's wrong with fruit? So there's the mindset is too much fruit because of, you know, the sugar level and things like that, you know, fructose. But as long as you have enough fruit in your diet, there's nothing wrong with fruit.
Right. We need it.
You need it. So, you know, we know as a society, people are going to go off the handle. They're going to eat those things. But if you eat generally as a whole food, plant-based diet, you're going to live longer. You're going to mitigate and reverse chronic disease like there's no tomorrow.
So they can find the app, and it's called Plateful.
Yeah, it's Plateful. Right now, it's kind of under the beta version because we want friends and families to use it.
Right.
Because we want downloads.
Yeah.
And then the next month, we've been internally testing it for almost a year now, but we want to make sure by the end user using it that they can give us feedback. So the best thing to do is just go to plateful.org/download. And then people can find it either if you have an iOS, an Apple phone, or an Android phone, you can download it right there.
This will all be in the show notes. So if somebody can see it, they can download it, they can get it.
Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you for telling us all about that.
You're going to have so much fun scanning at the grocery store.
I know,
everyone's
right?
Going to be scanning. So it's going to be fun.
I know. Jim, thank you so much. Oh my God, we could talk for another 2 and 3 hours just about nutrition and training and everything because we've gone through so much. But I'm going to wrap it up today. Thank you. Thank you for coming back.
Hey, Laurie, thank you. One thing that a lot of people don't know is that we've maintained our friendship for the last almost 40 years. And
God, has it been that long?
You're one of my all-time favorites. I love you. I think you're fantastic. You're like fine wine. You get better as you age, and that's the truth. Steve Henneberry and I said last week you're hot as hell. So that's true. And we love you. And I really appreciate what you're doing. I think your podcast is really going to take off. You asked some really unique questions, and I love it. So I wish you all the luck.
Thank you so much. I love it. Thank you so much for listening to Chillin' with Ice. And don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and share wherever you listen to your podcast. Remember to follow us on Patreon and YouTube at Chillin' with Ice. And on Instagram and TikTok, you can follow me at lori.ice.fetrick. I look forward to chilling with you next time here on Chillin' with Ice.